Stocks jumped out to another dramatic start with the Dow surging 400 points in early trading, but that optimism has since faded. What's going on, Susan Lisovich?
Well, we're seeing a sell-off, Kira. There's still a lot of nervousness in this market, no question about it, and one way it manifests itself is through huge swings in the major averages. As you said, the Dow was up 400 points in early trading, but right now it's down nearly 150. That's for the Dow. One rally that has held in check is financial stocks. Of course, the government is spending billions of dollars to buy stock in 9 leading banks. So shares of most of those companies are showing big gains. Morgan Stanley shares right now up 21% after an 87% surge yesterday. Goldman Sachs shares, meanwhile, are up nearly 12%. Citigroup and Bank of America are leading the Dow, but overall, the blue chips are in the red, down 122 points, or 1.25%. The NASDAQ is really hurting. It's down 3%. Intel reports after the bell, and its shares are down 6.5%. Kira.
But we haven't seen the massive losses like we did last week, so are we well, we can't say we're out of the woods, but slowly heading out of the woods?
Well, this is the big debate, Kira. You know, was it a one-day wonder? Is it the bottom? And even when you do historically see bottoms, it doesn't mean that it's full steam ahead. You know, it's going to be very choppy. I think most folks agree upon that. Remember, the 3 major averages are all down about 30% this year. Even if the market does start to recover, even if the financial crisis eases, as we all hope it does, it doesn't mean the economy is doing okay. Today, Pepsi said it's cutting more than 3,000 jobs due to slow sales and falling profits. GMAC is limiting its auto financing only to people with credit scores above 700. Tomorrow, retail sales expected to tumble for the 3rd straight month. Recession, well, a lot of economists say it is still inevitable. Macy's shares, by the way, ahead of those retail sales reports, down 5%, Kira. You get the picture.
Oh, I get the picture. And you know what? You bring up a very good point that I would bring up with our next 2 guests. So hold on. Take a listen to this with me. Will the government bailout work? Will the market stabilize? Will your nest egg grow? Well, it depends on who you ask, so let's get ready to rumble. Peter Schiff is with Euro Pacific Capital, and he's feeling bearish. Jeremy Siegel from the University of Pennsylvania is our resident bull. You guys were so wonderful last time. You had your opinions. I don't know. I'm wondering if Peter maybe might have some egg on his face. You know, you said it's all gloom and doom. You're Dr. Doom, Peter. And then we saw this rally at 900 points. The Dow rose yesterday.
Well, look, there's always rallies in bear markets. In fact, you have the most spectacular rallies in bear markets. But, you know, Henry Paulson just said that this action from today is necessary but unprecedented. Unfortunately, he's wrong on both counts. It's not necessary at all. And there is precedent for this type of monetary policy. They tried it in Argentina. They tried it in Weimar Republic, Germany. They're trying it in Zimbabwe right now. You know, I'm holding it in my hand, if you can see it, 100 billion Zimbabwe dollars. And if I spend this money quickly, I might be able to get a pack of chewing gum. The government is leading us down the road of monetary ruin. Nobody's savings are safe now. They're all going to go down the drain because we're going to have massive inflation.
Jeremy, what do you say to this? I mean, last Friday everybody thought the sky was falling. It was all over with. Peter's still sticking with the gloom and doom.
Right. I mean, Peter, we're printing dollars because people want to hold dollars. In Zimbabwe, they're just printing them to spend them and sending commodity prices up.
That's what we're doing.
We've had the commodity prices drop. And this bailout plan, we have more measures to take, to be sure. But we need liquidity in the market. The world capitals are providing that liquidity. That's what the people want, and that is what will stabilize.
We don't need liquidity. We need savings. You know, credit comes from savings. You can't replace legitimate savings by printing money. It doesn't work. It's not that simple. Unfortunately, we've blown our savings, so all the spending has to stop. They can't artificially inflate it by printing money.
Peter, if savings was the only problem, why did Japan have the biggest crash of the year? Why in 1989 to 1993 did the Nikkei go down 80%? It was the highest saving country in the world. China is the highest saving company in the world. It had a 70% decline in its stock market. But that's not the only factor
Jeremy,
that makes stocks go up or down.
Look, there were still bubbles in those economies that had to be cleared. But those economies are fundamentally sound. Japan is fundamentally sound. So is China. America is a mess. We're a basket case. We're living off the producty of the rest of the world.
But Peter, we've had these swings in the free market for hundreds of years.
No, we haven't. Look, believe me, we've had nothing like this. You know, we were a free market economy for a long time. That stopped a long time ago. You know, we went off the gold standard in 1971, and we haven't had a sound economy since. We've been running up these tremendous debts, and we obviously we went off the deep end between 2000 and now when we borrowed trillions of dollars through this housing bubble, and the chickens are coming home to roost. We are broke. Unfortunately, the government is creating a far deeper crisis as they're trying to reinflate our phony economy.
Okay, Jeremy, answer the phony economy, answer the inflation issue.
We don't have a phony economy. First of all, we've had stronger GDP growth over the last decade than
but it was fake.
Go ahead, let Jeremy go ahead.
The gold standard, oh, God, I mean, that is a relic of the old times. We went off that so that we could provide liquidity and prevent the Great Depression.
Yeah, we provided inflation, Jeremy.
And off it then. So,
Jeremy, we
that's
provided
an argument that people had 4 or 5
Jeremy,
decades ago, Peter.
All we did is provide inflation, and our economy our GDP growth was phony. It was consumption based on borrowed money.
It's the same techniques that is used by every country in the world,
No, it's not,
Peter.
Jeremy, it's not.
You know, it's interesting.
Why do you think we have this crisis?
Guys, just listening to you, you watch the numbers there. The Dow Industrial is kind of, going up and down, up and down. It's interesting to see how people respond, how the numbers respond when the two of you sit and talk about these issues. So which leads me to my question, Jeremy, and I'll get you both to give me a final thought on this. I mean, we've heard all this comparison to Herbert Hoover. I mean, is it possible it can get that bad? I mean, we're talking food lines, and that's coming up. I mean, John McCain compared Barack Obama to Hoover.
It is impossible to get that bad. That's exactly why we have deposit insurance. That's exactly why we have a Fed providing liquidity. That's exactly why we have protection of the banks. Back in the 1930s, we had thousands of banks fail, millions of depositors lose every penny. That's why we had the Great Depression. There is no
Jeremy,
possibility of that happening again.
You couldn't be more wrong, Jeremy. You know, during the Great Depression, only about 2% of the money on deposit was lost. This time, it's all going to be completely wiped out. There is no protection. All the government has is a printing press. All they can do is ensure that we can take our money out, but they can't ensure that we buy anything with it. The government is making all the mistakes that we made in the 1930s, only they're making them bigger, and they're making them at a time where our economy is fundamentally less sound than it was. This could be every bit as bad as the 1930s, except worse, and instead of consumer prices falling, they're going to explode through the roof.
Jeremy, 5 seconds, Jeremy.
We'll meet again 6 months from now and see what actually happens.
All right,
my
guys,
predictions have come true so far.
We're going to meet again in less than 6 months, but I'll book you for 6 months from now as well. Jeremy Siegel, Peter Schiff, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
My favorite bull and bear. Fighting fires in California.